Welcome back to the deep dive. We know you want the important stuff, fast, without getting bogged down. So today, we're tackling something, well, pretty surprising in AI. This whole issue of AI hallucinations. It seems to be getting worse.
Right, and hallucinations, just to be clear for everyone, it's not AI seeing things. It's when these big AI models, large language models, just confidently state false information. They make stuff up, basically, and present it as fact.
Exactly. And what we want to dig into today is this weird trend. We're looking at reports from the New York Times based on OpenAI's own testing, plus some insights from PC Gamer and Futurism. The big question is, why do these newer, supposedly smarter AI models, the ones built for reasoning, seem to be messing up the facts more often, even according to the companies making them? Okay, let's get into this.
Yeah, it's really counterintuitive. You'd expect progress, right? Better models, fewer mistakes. But OpenAI found their latest reasoning models, O3 and O4 Mini, actually make more factual errors, hallucinate more than their older model, O1.
And the numbers are, well, they're pretty stark. The New York Times laid it out using OpenAI's Person QA benchmark. That's where the AI answers questions about people. Their top system, O3, apparently invented info 33% of the time. Okay, not great. But then the newer, smaller one, O4 Mini,
Yeah.
48% hallucination rate.
Wow.
And compared to O1, their previous reasoning model, its error rate was less than half of O3's on that same test.
And it's not just that one test. There's another benchmark, simple QA, more general knowledge questions. O3 hallucinated 51% of the time there.
Over half the time.
Yep, and O4 Mini, a staggering 79%.
99.
I know. Even the older O1, which wasn't perfect, was down at 44% on that one. So it really makes you question that assumption, newer equals better.
It absolutely does. You just figure, okay, they're getting more powerful. Surely they nail the basics, like not making things up. So what makes these reasoning models different? Why were they expected to be better?
Well, the idea is they go beyond just predicting the next word. You know, the way older models work, basically fancy autocomplete based on statistics. These reasoning models are designed to break down problems, tackle them step by step, sort of like, well, like a human thought process.
They're meant to think it through, not just guess based on probability.
Exactly. That's the goal. Anyway.
And OpenAI was pretty bullish on this. Their first reasoning model, O1, launched last year. They claimed it matched or even beat PhD students in subjects like physics, math, coding, really complex stuff.
Right, I remember that. They talked about it using a chain of thought to solve problems.
Yeah. Which sounds incredibly sophisticated, like human thinking.
It does, and that's what makes this whole thing so puzzling. If they're built to reason more like us, why are they seemingly more likely to just invent facts?
It's weird.
Even OpenAI admits they don't fully get it yet. They basically said, more research is required.
Which is a bit concerning, isn't it?
Yeah.
The creators aren't totally sure why their cutting-edge AI is struggling with basic truthfulness.
Definitely a bit unnerving. And some observers are wondering if the reasoning approach itself might somehow be contributing to the problem.
And it's not just an OpenAI anomaly, right? You mentioned the Times report.
Correct. The New York Times piece pointed out that this isn't isolated. Reasoning systems from Google, from a Chinese startup called DeepSeek, they're also seeing more errors creep in, not fewer.
So it seems like a wider industry challenge.
It really does.
Okay, so let's talk stakes. Why should you, listening now, care if an AI makes stuff up sometimes?
Well, the huge thing is trust, isn't it? If you can't rely on the output, you have to double-check everything.
Yeah.
Meticulously.
Which totally defeats the purpose. The whole promise is saving time and effort. If you spend ages fact-checking the AI, what's the point?
Exactly. The efficiency gain just evaporates.
Plus, think about the investment. Billions are being poured into building the infrastructure for these super powerful models.
Huge amounts of money.
If their core reliability is shaky, it throws a real wrench into the whole value proposition.
Absolutely. So the question becomes, why? What could be causing this, especially in the newer models?
Any theories floating around?
There are a few ideas. One comes from Emmer Awadallah. He's the CEO of an AI startup, Victara. His take is maybe a bit bleak. He suggested hallucinations might just be, like, inherent to how this tech works. Baked in.
Baked in, meaning they might never fully go away.
That's his suggestion, yeah.
Yeah.
A rather sobering thought.
It really is. What else?
Another big one is training data. Specifically, the increasing use of synthetic data.
AI-generated data to train other AIs.
Precisely. The argument is that companies are, running out of high-quality human-generated text and data from the internet.
So they're using AI to make more training material.
Right. And the risk there is that if the AI generating the data already has flaws or biases or hallucinates itself, you're essentially feeding errors back into the system, amplifying them, potentially.
Ah, like making photocopies of a blurry photo. Each copy gets worse.
Kind of like that, yeah. It could introduce or worsen inaccuracies.
And this problem is serious enough that there are now companies popping up just to fix AI hallucinations for businesses.
That's right. It's become a business need. There was a quote from Pratik Verma at Okaho, a consulting firm. He basically said, if you don't deal with these errors, you essentially eliminate the value of the AI systems. Makes sense, right? If it's wrong often, it's a liability.
No kidding. But OpenAI isn't entirely conceding that reasoning models are the problem here, are they?
No, they push back on that a bit. Their representative, Gabby Rayla, told The Times they don't believe hallucinations are inherently worse in reasoning models. But they did acknowledge they're actively working to bring down those higher error rates in O3 and O4 Mini. So they see the problem, even if they dispute the inherent cause.
Okay, so the definitive why is still fuzzy.
Very much so. Which I think brings us to the main takeaway for you listening. Despite all the hype and genuine advancements in AI, developing these complex reasoning models hasn't solved the fake information problem. In some very prominent cases, it actually seems to have made it worse. And even the creators are scratching their heads a bit.
So for you, using these tools, it really hammers home the need for caution, that critical eye. Just because an AI sounds confident doesn't mean it's correct. You still need to verify, especially if accuracy and saving time are your goals.
Absolutely. And maybe it leaves us with a bigger thought to chew on. We're building these incredibly complex systems, right? Models whose internal workings deep down aren't fully understood even by their makers.
Yeah.
So as we start relying on them for more and more complicated things, important decisions, what are the implications? Is our push for more powerful AI and maybe getting ahead of our ability to actually guarantee it's reliable and, well, truthful? Something to think about as this tech